Life really never stops as a backpacker. A lifestyle that doesn't pause for breath as it flows from one adventure, interaction, or life-changing moment straight into the next. And on that note, sat inside a rusty colectivo that was probably older than me, and passing through a dodgy border crossing with a wallet full of pesos that were now useless, I stared out of the window onto the rugged, mountainous landscape of a country that would have one of the most profound impacts on me of the entire trip. This is a story of my time in the breathtaking country of Guatemala. And like a lot of great backpacking stories, this one begins at the side of a lake, with a wooden platform and an old, tattered rope swing. Despite my love for a lack of research, I did actually have a number of bucket list experiences in mind for my time in the country, one of which would be beginning at 4 AM tomorrow. But this freed up my first day in Flores to head over to the fellow backpacker-recommended private cabin across the lake to break the ice with some new friends and spend endless hours diving and swinging into the calm waters like the children we all are at heart. And while I may not have realized it at the time, as we tried and failed to backflip into the depths, with everything that was to come in the next month, a simple plank of wood and a rope hanging from a tree was the calm before the storm that I desperately needed.
You got this.
All throughout this trip, with the idea of keeping my budget in check, I had to loosely plan out the different types of adventures that I'd be having and distribute them out evenly over the coming months. So back in Mexico, thinking about the history and education category of adventure, I had to make a choice between which Mayan city I'd be paying a visit. I would either head to the spectacular, but potentially heavily overcrowded world wonder of Chichen Itzá, or I'd hold off on this for now and go for the other option. Tikal is the ruin of the capital of one of the most powerful kingdoms of the ancient Maya, and is one of the largest archaeological sites from the pre-Columbian Mayan civilizations, with the central area alone holding around 3,000 buildings, some of which dating as far back as 400 BC. Likely known as Yaxmutal, the city was seen as one of the centers of the Maya region's politics and economics, as well as functioning as a stronghold for the military. It also held great influence that spanned throughout Mesoamerica, even reaching as far as the Valley of Mexico in the metropolis of Teotihuacan. From breathing in the stillness of the fresh, early morning air while listening to the soundtrack of the jungle ecosystem, to the absence of distraction and noise thanks to the lack of other crowds of visitors, and our incredible local guides, who managed to strike the perfect balance between both an engaging education on the site and a freedom to be able to wander off and explore it for ourselves. The day really felt more like an immersion into history than a tourist experience.
The tallest one, number 4. Engineers.
And as we reached the end of our time here, there was even a bonus surprise for those fans of slightly more recent history, who may recognize a familiar view from the top of one of the temples. As I would come to learn, early mornings are a bit of a thing in Guatemala. Whether you're going on an organized tour or meeting your colectivo to take you to the next location, it's very rare that you won't be waking up at around sunrise to make this happen. Something I would advise should be kept in mind before getting lured in by a group playing drinking games in the common area, which then continue on into the early hours of the morning. While Guatemala is well known for its tough hiking and vibrant party hostels, I'd heard about a quiet, lesser-known spot towards the east coast from word of mouth. And thinking it was well worth a visit, I booked my reservation in a rustic hostel tucked away in the jungle-clad banks of Rio Dulce. Just for reference, when I say lesser known, there were only around 4 other people staying at this hostel at the time I was there. Well, I should say 4 other people. That doesn't mean there weren't any other guests waiting for us in our cabin. To be fair, I did say the hostel was in the jungle.
No,
Oh my god, there are manatees in the water?
just documenting that there's a fucking bullet ant in our room.
Kill it. Who wants
Look inside the dead fucking spider.
for up to 10 pounds.
If you wake up with one of those fuckers in your bed, it could chew your dick off. And kill you. In that order.
Wait, actually, that might not actually be a bullet ant.
Kill it. It's trying to get you. I just That did.
Can someone get the door?
No. I got it. Prick. Drag it up the wall. If it dies, it dies.
You do.
Drag it up the wall. Oh shit, that's a big guy. Oh fucking hell. Big boy.
Now blow up the bin. And also blow up this cabin.
He's great. It's just gonna crawl back in. Yeah, big spider.
Most good hostels you stay in while backpacking will have a number of different activities and events on offer for its guests. But given its small size and waterside location, this hostel only had one. I'm pretty sure my arms and shoulders were still sore from kayaking in Bacalar. But here in Rio Dulce, given the lack of boats full of other tourists, it really felt like the 3 of us were the only souls out there on the entire lake. And obviously, as the day was coming to an end, watching the sunset was basically a mandatory experience. So we paddled right into the center of the lake to take front row seats and stare at the glowing orange sky. A private show in the middle of the empty waters.
Not so bad.
With the main and only activity of the hostel now complete, the question now turned to what to do the next day. The answer to which began with our first authentic taste of small-town public transportation in Guatemala.
Oh my, what's up, man? How you feeling? Just doing some scissors.
First class.
Following our ride out of Rio Dulce, we transferred into the back of a kind local's pickup truck, who dropped us just outside the large canyon of El Boqueron. The day was pretty improvised, just taking each moment as it came. Drifting along the stream for a boat ride and staring up at the mighty rock walls of the canyon. But after the slow pace of the day's action, I was finding it difficult to keep my mind still. Worrying about my schedule and knowing decisions would have to be made. Let's talk logistics. Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras and Nicaragua have a border control agreement called the CA4. This meant that the 90 days I was given on entry covers me for all 4 of the countries on that list. And to avoid having to rush later on, I should realistically only spend around a month here in Guatemala. This sadly meant I had to get a move on, and my planned trip to the nearby Livingston had to be axed. So, joined by Robin, we set off on our way to the mountain paradise of Semuc Champey. So that brings us to our second decision. What's the best route there? Option A involved paying a private shuttle to take us there directly. It would cost $23 and would only take 2 hours in total. While option B was explained to us by the hostel owner, who does it all the time. Just take the public transport options with a couple of changes in El Estor and Coban. This one cost $13 and would take around 7 hours. So naturally, option A was the obvious choice. I mean, it wasn't really that much more expensive and it would just save us so much time and... Yeah, nah, we went with option B. So on the plus side, we saved around $10 on our transport. But on the other hand, it didn't take us 7 hours to get to Semuc Champey. It took us 7 hours to get to the first fucking stop. And by the time we finally arrived in Coban, we were told it was now too late to catch the last minibus up to our destination. So in the end, we had to stay and get a couple of rooms in the city for the night. Hotel rooms that cost us a lot more than the $10 we saved by choosing option B. But really at this point there was nothing more we could do, except put it all behind us, and wake up nice and early to catch the first minibus to our hostel. It was a new day, a fresh start, and nothing else was going to get in our way. The minibus broke down. I was starting to get a really bad headache now. And after about an hour of standing in the pouring rain, a second minibus was sent to come and rescue us. I don't think hell even begins to describe how this whole journey had been. But at least the hostel was getting closer now, and we could finally... The second minibus also broke down. You just couldn't write this stuff. I'm literally writing this stuff right now, and even I couldn't write this stuff. Luckily, after another hour, and using some ancient techniques, we brought the minibus back to life and were moving again for the final stretch. Our 7-hour journey had just entered its 28th hour. So obviously, I know the first thing you're probably thinking right now. Man, it sure was lucky that no one had a hemorrhoid that could have made this hellish journey just even more uncomfortable. I don't know what hurt worse, my head or Robin's ass, but after a bumpy tuk-tuk ride up the mountain, we finally checked into the Zephyr Lodge, which was one of my bucket list hostels. And wow, was this place worth the wait. Nestled up in the picturesque village of Lanquin, with a pool, a swim-up bar, a pool table, a jacuzzi to cram into for sunset, and an overpriced restaurant for its captive audience, the Zephyr Lodge was the true embodiment of a social backpacking experience. And I was all here for it. So day one began with another early start, and being packed into the back of an old truck like livestock. And speaking of social backpacking experiences, First up on the itinerary was tubing.
Let's be on the tube.
A very typical backpacker activity involving a rubber ring, plenty of cans of beer, and floating along a river surrounded by beautiful views. Although a few features unique to this version of tubing were the racing rapids, the razor-sharp rocks just below the surface ready to slice you open,
Relaxing tubing, right?
and the warning that if any river water was to get into our beers and we drank it, we could be hospitalized.
Nothing.
Cheers, mate. Cheers. I wouldn't fall in if I were you. Boy, he's absolutely fucked. Look at him. He's gonna wipe out.
Just over the halfway mark, we drifted towards a convenient stop-off spot to refuel our beer supply,
Hey!
as well as enjoy some of the usual hostel games that were on offer.
I gotta be here.
Then finally, we hit the water one last time for another close encounter with the jagged rocks, as well as each other's cheesy feet, before coming to a gentle stop at the end of our route, hopping back into the slaughter truck, and ending the day with a well-earned dip in the jacuzzi. While everyone does love tubing, I didn't travel all the way into the mountains just to drink alcohol. Semuc Champey is one of the most fascinating and picturesque sites in all of Guatemala, and having already seen enough Instagram posts about the place, I was more than excited to finally get to see it the next day with my own eyes. There are countless different experiences to be had in the area of Semuc Champey. And on our tour, we'd get to see 3 of them. To get things started, we were all given wax candles to light the way as we weaved our path into one of the winding cave networks that the area is known for. Wading through the icy cold water,
Meatballs!
and following the long line of fluttering orange candle lights ahead like a group of cultists, our trip through the tunnels featured numerous stops for rock climbing, ascending face first up a pouring waterfall, and culminated in one final test of bravery as we were made to jump blindly into a small hole covered by cascading water. A hole that we were told was perhaps a little bit deeper than it actually was. But finally we saw the light once again. And just in time for lunch, where we were then briefed on the hike through the jungle that was to come. A hike taking us up the side of one of the mountain walls of the valley, and to the mirador with the breathtaking view you've probably seen on every piece of promotional material for tourism in Guatemala. But a hike that also took us back down said mountain through shin-deep wet mud while wearing flip-flops.
Mate, I'm in flip-flops! Well, actually, now I'm barefoot. We're walking down mud path in flip-flops. The brake.
Oi mate, you got some mud on your foot.
You gotta get some mud in your fucking... I can't think. On camera, I can't think how to finish that thing.
Good job.
Following this slog back down, our guides treated us to a complete ass-whooping as one by one we sat in the chair swing and were hurled cartoonishly through the air and belly-flopped into the rushing current. Except for me, of course, because I'm perfect and good at everything. And then to see off a perfect day, we took one last grateful dip in one of the natural pools we'd overlooked from the Mirador, and basking in the sweet combination of the cooling vapor from the waterfall and the soothing warmth of the late afternoon sun. The thing is with Guatemala, it's such a mind-bendingly beautiful country that even the ride back from an experience is an experience on its own. Which is why we chose to climb up to the roof of the truck for the journey home. Which was like sitting in a panoramic cinema showing one of the most immersive nature documentaries we'd ever seen. Would you look at that scenery? Oh, wow. But it wasn't only rolling mountain landscapes glowing from the golden hour sun that we saw from the roof of that truck. What we also saw were very large and pointy tree branches flying straight towards our faces, ready to decapitate us. Dodge.
Fucking hell. We fucking survived. Yeah.
And just like that, I ticked off everything that I'd wanted to do at the Zephyr Lodge. Between the full-day tours, all-day drinking, and partying all throughout the nights, I didn't exactly give my body the time it needed to recover. So, on that final rainy mountain morning, loading up the minibus ready to leave Lanquin, and knowing what was coming next, that was something I was really coming to regret. You know, there was actually an option to take public transport to Antigua, which would have been a bit cheaper than the minibus. Yeah, no. I decided to skip that one this time. But the time for horsing around had come to an end, and it was time to get serious. Because what lay ahead of me was a trial that I knew would be such an intense shock to the system that it would destroy my body in a way I had never experienced before. But one I knew I would have to undertake regardless. A trial that I can safely say that to this day has still been one of the hardest physical challenges of my entire life. The quiet, misty glow of sunrise woke me from a mostly sleepless, anticipation-filled night. The day began gathered at the home of our local guides, where we were given our bags, food, and a briefing on what was to come.
Remember like this. I show you wait. I can't take you time. When it is difficult, the lead stuff in my room, okay, in my house, put in the courtroom. It's for leaving stuff in here, please. Here? Let's go. Hola. Hola. Vámonos. Vámonos.
Our car chugged along the winding mountain pass, presenting us a clear view of Guatemala's imposing mountain landscape. A landscape that we were going to summit. And just like that, from the feet of the angry, rumbling volcano,
There you go.
we began. So what was it about this trial that would make it so challenging? It was certainly far from being the longest distance I'd ever hiked. As I discover very early on into the journey, the biggest problem that I would have to overcome would be the altitude. As someone who's spent their entire life living at sea level, my lungs had never inhaled air with reduced oxygen levels like this. So that raw, burning feeling of breathlessness from the physical strain of climbing the volcano would never go away.
Like these challenges where you ride up
The further we ascended, the thinner the air became. And I was literally stopped dead in my tracks by a fierce and immediate wave of nausea and a near loss of consciousness. Just before the halfway mark, we stopped for lunch to refuel. But the intense altitude sickness meant my stomach would reject almost all of the food my body desperately needed. And as I stared down at my food, there was only one thought in my mind. For the sake of my safety, I had to turn back. But I couldn't. As the group continued on, it was as if my legs overrode my conscious thought and pushed me forward sluggishly behind them. With each step feeling heavier than the last, even through my misty, wavering vision, I could see that we were now level with the cloud line. Things were getting really bad for me. The nausea had now become an unbearable stomach cramping, and the dizziness had now evolved to pulsating black circles in the corner of my vision. But I just couldn't stop. Why? Why could I not stop? I was now a passenger in the back seat of my own body. I wanted so badly to turn back, to be able to breathe properly again, to not be in such never-ending pain. But maybe my body knew something my conscience didn't. Maybe it didn't believe that I was actually as weak as I'd always seen myself. And as the rumbling of the volcano drummed out louder than it ever had before, maybe my body knew better than my brain that we were much closer than I thought.
This was certainly not the longest hike I'd ever done, but with everything considered, it was by far the toughest. The pain didn't go away. In fact, it acted as a constant physical reminder of what I was able to overcome. And my reward was to gaze out to a reality-defying view that I didn't think I was capable of reaching. So with that perpetual battle we all have against our own minds, I'd felt like I climbed 2 volcanoes that day.
I can't really tell you much about those last 4 days after the hike, other than that they were filled with pain all over my body, and that I'd somehow woken up in a bed of an empty hostel in a small town out west from Antigua. I genuinely can't remember how I ended up here, but this small town was the entry point into the next stops on my trip. The vibrant, diverse, and hugely popular towns surrounding Lake Atitlán. Lake Atitlán is the home of a number of small towns that each have their own unique communities, attractions, and overall vibes and atmosphere. During my stay here, I'd be visiting 3 of them. Beginning with Santa Cruz La Laguna. Or more specifically, at the hugely popular party haven, Free Cerveza Hostel, or as its uninhibited guests had come to call it, Free Hostel. Sorry about that, I don't know what happened there. Anyway, what I meant to say was Free Cerveza Hostel, a place where I assure you the cerveza most certainly was not free, was a party hostel that looked out onto an absolute paradise and was filled with open and friendly fellow travelers looking to have fun and make some new friends. Speaking of which, it was here that I bumped into Robin again. But as he was still reeling from his, ailment, he wouldn't be joining in the festivities. So while I was gearing up to what would be the first of 10 consecutive days of partying, I let Robin borrow my camera as he headed off to a somewhat more fulfilling adventure.
Stand up.
And that carried on for around the next 4 or 5 days. But on what was to be the final day at the hostel for some of our group, we put our hangovers aside and arranged a little day trip to one of the other pueblos of Lake Atitlán, San Marcos. San Marcos is a town that's much more popular in the hippie scene, attracting travelers with yoga retreats, international cuisine, and small market stalls selling spiritualistic products. But we weren't here for any of that. Of all the substances I'm sure could be acquired at the hippie capital of Lake Atitlán, the only chemical that we were after was adrenaline. Adrenaline that came in the form of hurling our weary, hungover bodies off a wooden platform and crashing into the choppy lake 12 meters below.
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
But that one short afternoon of detox would have to do, because that rickety old lancha was carrying me across to the western point of the lake, to San Pedro La Laguna, the final stop of my short lake tour. And once I'd checked into Mr. Mullet's party hostel and donned the obligatory uniform, it was back to business as usual.
Oh, fucking blowout! Fucking rain. It's like being back in England, shithole.
Siento. ¿Necesitas algo más?
No, gracias.
The phrase, "I'm too old for this shit," is a common one for people with hangovers. But after 10 days of non-stop drinking, I don't think that applied to me. Because I don't think I have ever been the right age for that shit. Over the last month, I'd become so used to the endless rolling mountains and towering volcanoes that make up the majority of Guatemala's landscape. But as we descended down towards my final location of the country, to a landscape that was so flat and empty, I found it was breaking my perception of normality. I felt like I was either on the other side of the world or on a different world altogether. El Paredon is a quiet haven on the southern coast of Guatemala, and is the absolute pinnacle of a backpacker's paradise. Completely undeveloped outside of a handful of small hostels and restaurants, it's a surf town set on an idyllic beach with near untouched nature as far as the eye can see. An enclosed bubble away from the real world where time stands still and nothing seems to exist outside of whichever swimming pool you happen to be spending the day in.
Cinematic angles.
And it was a place where I could put the adventure on hold for a while. Where my daily routine consisted of crustily rolling out of bed and stumbling over to the hostel restaurant for the exact same breakfast each morning. Followed up by an order of a crisp, icy cerveza and then immediately falling straight into the pool with said cerveza, ready for a full day of monkey business and tomfoolery with my fellow backpackers. Only ever leaving the pool to go to the toilet, well, let's be honest, sometimes not even for that.
Oh, look at those feet, man. That's not gonna work for you.
Given the small size of the town, all of the hostel owners worked together to create this conjoined community of backpackers who could come and go between each of the properties as they pleased. Meaning by day, you could spend your time in whichever of their swimming pools that you fancied. And by night, the entire community of the town would descend upon whichever hostel's turn it was to arrange that night's party. And if all of that wasn't good enough, I haven't even mentioned the best part yet. The daily highlight for which we all poured out of our hostels to take our seats on the sand, to gaze down towards the horizon of this otherworldly, glowing landscape, a perfect encapsulation of peace and stillness, except for the soft, sand-filled breeze blowing up against the skyline. There's always that unified moment of silence as the sun falls below the earth. And in a place like this, I have to imagine we all had the same thought in our minds. Life is really fucking good. Guatemala. I remember before I described Mexico as being an all-rounder country, but Guatemala is one that is definitely geared towards adventure. You don't come to Guatemala for the cities. You come for some of the most incredible natural beauty the world has to offer. Every single destination I went to, the country's breathtaking nature was at the forefront of your attention. From floating on an empty, glowing lake at sunset, to climbing over ancient ruins in the middle of the jungle, or feeling like I was suffocating on top of a volcano. It was these that were the core experiences that I was fantasizing about during lockdown. So while Mexico was the perfect start to the trip, it was Guatemala where I felt the adventure really began. And it was this that gave me that renewed feeling of excitement and anticipation of what was coming next.
We feel that warming sense of security and comfort when we know what's coming next. But as is so often the case, the best things in life exist outside of that comfort, hidden away from our plans and expectations. So when those opportunities do present themselves to you, to take that plunge deep into the unknown, you better make sure you say yes.
Gentlemen,